29th, 1983. And this is part 2 of the Newtin, a collection of books put into a book, which I'm putting on tape now. And this is a continuation of the first one. This is a continuation of the story called The Black Newtin Attacks. And Newton, who was power mad, he was a man who turned into a mutant from the radiation. He became good again, and he has just been accepted as a good person. But now the Black Mutant, another mutant like Newton, has come along and was giving Newton a bad reputation again, even though Newton wasn't doing anything. He is starting to attack the people of the galaxy, and Newton now is fighting him to win back the recognition for himself as a good person. And that's where I'm going to begin right now. Okay, Newton has just knocked the Black Mutant to the floor in this White House. Yeah. The Black Mutant has challenged the president of this planet to fight him, and if he loses, the Black Mutant wins, he becomes, well, anyway, you can't trust this Black Mutant, he's crazy. Okay. The Black Newton has just knocked the Black Mutant to the floor. The Black Mutant got up excitedly and evilly saying, "My artificial limbs have been charged to their full extent. And the way your fist landed on the side of my face, I could tell that your artificial limbs were weak because you haven't had a charge up in weeks." "That's right," said Newton, "but no matter how low on energy they are, I'll always be able to beat the tar out of you." Suddenly, Newton gave the Black Mutant a 1-2 punch that sent him flying to the floor. "Yay!" yelled everybody in the White House who saw that. Suddenly, one of the robots hit Newton on the shoulder with an anti-radiation sword. The anti-radiation got into Newton. Newton gave out a yell and fell to the floor in pain. "No, no," shouted the Black Mutant with fury. "Stay away, my robot crew, he's mine," shouted the Black Mutant as Newton staggered up. The Black Mutant charged into Newton, ramming his body into Newton's midsection. Newton and the Black Mutant crashed through the wall of the White House and out into the White House garden. The Black Mutant gave Newton a 1-2 punch that knocked Newton through some rose bushes. The Black Mutant... through some rose bushes. The Black Mutant and Newton clashed together and were now fighting it out in the forested area of the planet's capital. Everybody was watching the battle, including the Black Mutant's robot crew. Newton and the mutant got in a tie-up. The Black Mutant started punching Newton in the stomach. Newton gave out a groan. Then the Black Mutant shoved Newton down a hill into an area where there were a bunch of pine trees. "Come on, Newton, everybody. Come on, Newton, everybody," shouted. "Beat the Black Mutant." Newton tried, but his artificial limbs needed their monthly recharging, and the anti-radiation from the sword. Just a minute here. And the anti-radiation from the sword was beginning to kill Newton's mutant system. The Black Mutant plunged into Newton's midsection again and began bombarding Newton with hard punches. Newton flipped the Black Mutant onto the ground with his might. The Black Mutant got up, and Newton started giving it to the mutant with all of his artificial might. Newton began snapping the mutant's head back with every punch. The black mutant fell dazed up against the side of a pine tree, with yellow mutated blood coming out of his nose and mouth. Yay! Yeah, yay, everybody cheered. Newtin helped the black mutant up off the ground, then slammed his head into the pine tree with another strong punch that caused pine needles and cones to fall out of the tree. The black mutant cried out with agony from Newton's punch. Another strong punch made the black mutant cry out with another agonizing whimper, and it slid down dazed. Newtin lifted the black mutant up, then threw him at the pine tree. The black mutant made another yelp of pain as his head rammed into the pine tree bark. It fell down dazed again, and almost unconscious. Newtin booted the groaning mutant in the side, and sent him tumbling 20 feet at the foot of his robot crew. The mutant let out another loud whimper of pain that made the crowd cheer. The black mutant started climbing slowly and painfully up the leg of one of his robots, like a snake. Newtin was slumped over from exhaustion, and everybody was cheering from how he hurt the black mutant. Suddenly the black mutant took out an anti-radiation gun from the robot's holster. The black mutant fell to the ground exhausted and shouted, "I'm going to kill you, Newtin, with this gun that contains anti-radiation bullets." Newtin just stood up and started walking away. "Come back, you cowardly mutant," the black mutant shouted. Newtin kept on walking off. Suddenly the black mutant fired, and the anti-radiation bullet drilled into Newton's left arm. Newton stopped for a second, then went on. The black mutant fired again, causing electrical fires to spring up out of Newton's right arm. Newton kept on walking. The anti-radiation was affecting his mind, making it so he couldn't fly. Suddenly the black mutant shot Newton in the other leg, causing electrical fires to spring up there. Newton started staggering. He fell down onto his knee, and the mutant drilled another bullet through Newton's other arm, then shot the last two bullets into Newton's back. Newton fell forward, letting out a yell, then rolled motionless onto his back. Everybody started looking depressed. The black mutant started laughing. Newton's crew ran up to Newton, but the robots kept them away. Newton looked at Obakoa and groaned, saying, "Destroy Blacktania." Then Newton fell back unconscious. Newton's crew looked very concerned for Newton with everybody else. But they followed Newton's orders. Just as they were about to beam aboard Mutania, Newton fell unconscious. Newton's crew looked very concerned for Newton with everybody else, but they followed Newton's orders. Just as they were about to beam aboard Mutania, Obakoa shouted, "We're going to destroy Blacktania." "No, wait, stop," shouted the mutant, but Newton's crew beamed aboard Mutania. Obakoa shouted, "Sonia, photon torpedoes ready?" "Photon torpedoes ready," she shouted back. "Fire." Photon torpedoes shot out of Mutania and hit Blacktania. The black mutant ship shattered, then exploded. The entire ship was destroyed, and down on the planet, the black mutant was going to fix his deal with the president, who was trying to hide from him. And the people outside carried the dying Newton outside of the White House and put him down by a water fountain. Newton said, "Get me a machine gun." A minute later, and they brought Newton a machine gun. Newton staggered up with his yellow glowing mutated blood coming out of his wounds. He started limping slowly up to the water fountain. Newton staggered and fell up against it, almost dropping the gun. Two of the black mutant's robots started running up to Newton with anti-radiation swords. Newton fired his machine gun at them, filling them up with machine gun bullets. The robots caught fire and exploded, then crumbled down to the ground like a pile of burning transistor radio sets. And as Newton was outside defending himself, the black mutant crashed through the wall and found the president hiding in his room. I'm glad you didn't for president. You see, I want to become the president of this planet. But first I must take it from the person who has it first. I'll let you be president. I'll let you be president, shouted the president finally. The Black Mutant gave him an anti-radiation sword, then stood 5 feet away from him. The Black Mutant said, "In the beginning you were the master. Now I am master. You're nothing but a master of evil, Doug. You'll never take my presidency." The two began sword fighting with the glowing swords that were glowing from anti-radiation. A few seconds later, the president became president when President Wusso lost his head. The Black Mutant threw up his cape and left the president's the president's bedroom. He walked into the legislative branch of the planet's White House and ordered all of his robot crew into the room. There were about 15 of them. And when the Black Mutant did, he told all 15 of the robots that he told them that he was now king of the planet. And at the same time, while the Black Mutant was assembling all of his robots together, Newton's crew beamed down onto the planet to give Newton some anti-radiation drug. Newton had his machine gun on his hand and was getting ready for the Black Mutant to show up. Newton's crew ran up to Newton. The Black Mutant walked out of the White House's balcony and said, "Newton, I'm over here. You're a dying mutant, you know that? Your crew and ship are now mine. This is going to be my planet, and I shall be ruler. You had your days of power, now it's my turn." Newton tried to fire at the Black Mutant with his machine gun, but his gun was jammed. Darn, the stupid gun is jammed. The Black Mutant's robots started walking up the White House to get Newton and his crew. Newton got his gun and jammed and started blowing away the robots. The 5 surviving robots ran back in. Newton aimed the machine gun at the Black Mutant, when suddenly the Black Mutant threw his anti-radiation sword from the balcony and right into Newton's heart. Newton gave out a yell, then splashed down into the fountain. Newton threw down his machine gun and backed up against the fountain that was pouring water on him. "Newton!" Shirley shouted as Newton got a painful look on his face. The anti-radiation was all the way through his body. Newton looked sad and achy as he pulled the sword out of his chest. The sword had lost its glow. The deadly anti-radiation was killing him. Newton grabbed onto the statue in the form of an angel that was spitting on him. Then he began to slide down slowly. "Newton, are you okay?" his crew asked. Newton didn't say anything, but just stood under the water that rained down on him, with the setting sun shining in his mutated blue eyes. The Black Mutant started laughing. He said, "The king is dead. Long live the king." Newton stood very still, then tipped forward, then rocked backwards and fell down, crashing down into the water, and was dead. The waves of the fountain splashed over Newton, and he sank down. Newton's crew couldn't believe it, but Newton was dead. Everybody walked out to see the dead Newton. They all crowded around the dead Newton, who was bobbing up and down in the fountain, and started taking pictures of the dead Newton. Around 100 people crowded around the fountain to see him. Newton's crew just didn't know what to think. It was like finding out there wasn't a god when they saw Newton floating dead in the water like that. An hour later, the Black Mutant was aboard Mutania. He was now the ruler of the planet, and Newton's crew were now his slaves. And, the whole galaxy was shocked and terrified of the news of this new evil presence that decided to make itself known. The Black Mutant was like a cancer in the universe, slowly destroying it. And on the planet, in a forested area near the White House, there was a grave that said, "Here lies a dead mutant Newton, a fine mutant." It said some other stuff, such as his history, but a grave is a grave, no matter how big or small. Newton was gone, but someday Newton might return. And Obicobus said, but someday Newton might return. said Obacoba, just as strange as he became. And that's that. I'll read The Blood of Newton some other time. Hello there. This is Bruce Ramsey. Today is... What is the date today? December 18th, 1983. And I'm going to read The Blood of Newton. Oh, yeah. The Blood of Newton. It was cold and damp on Mutania, and Newton, the ruler of the ship, was dead. Newton's crew were the slaves of the evil Black Mutant, who killed Newton, and the planet belonged to Earth. And the planet that belonged to Earth was now the Black Mutant. Was now the Black Mutants also. The Black Mutant sat on Newton's throne and ordered Newton's crew about harshly. If they were slow on the job, the Black Mutant would have his robot crew hit them. Obacoba tripped and a robot started whipping him. "Mercy, Master, mercy," Obacoba begged. "Mercy?" shouted the Black Mutant evilly. "I'll give you mercy." The Black Mutant started kicking Obacoba down and around on the floor. "How's that?" laughed the Black Mutant with insanity. Obacoba staggered up and one of the Black Mutant's robots clubbed him over the head with its arm, knocking him out. Sonya, Shirley, and Jack looked depressed from the bruises the Black Mutant was inflicting on them. Sonya, call up the retarded planet that I captured. I want to talk to the people down there," yelled the Black Mutant as he threw a brick at her. Sonya did with terror, and the Black Mutant told the people down on the planet that if they didn't give him a human sacrifice in such a time, he would destroy one of their cities with one of Mutania's phasers. By the way, I wrote this story in 1978, early 78, I think, in the book Newton's New Identity, the 8th Newton book. An hour later, and the Black Mutant got his sacrifice and watched it on the viewing screen. He also forced his slaves to watch it with him. A day later, the Black Mutant used Mutania to destroy 5 solar systems. One of the 5 had people on it. It had been a month since the Black Mutant had killed Newton. And now, the universe is terrified of the mutant. It was like a cancer slowly devouring its victim. It looked like every living thing was at the Black Mutant's mercy, and nothing could be done to stop him. He was also slowly killing Newton's crew by beating them. He hardly ever let up, and they rarely got to eat. And they were only allowed an hour of sleep because the Black Mutant never slept. One night, when the Black Mutant let Obacoba, Sonya, Shirley, and Jack sleep for a while, Obacoba whispered across the room to Sonya that he thought they should try to escape the demon on their or their chances of living were about 0. Sonia agreed, but reminded Obakova that the last time they tried to escape, it almost cost them their lives. She also warned Obakova not to talk for the fear of being beaten. Obakova broke in, saying, "I have a plan. I have a plan. If we can get the Black Mutant to beam us down onto his planet, we could escape him from down there and hide. Then we would be free. Then we'd be free. Then we'd be free." Obakova said, lying achy in his bed. The next day, Sonia, Shirley, Obakova, and Jack were struggling at their stations from the Black Mutant's orders. I'll submit here. Okay, they're struggling with the Black Mutant's orders. And the Black Mutant's robot crew was shoving them around again. The mutant sat under his station of himself and spat on Newton's throne. A robot shoved Jack, and Jack wouldn't let himself get hit again. He leaped up from his station and cussed and swore, and called the Black Mutant and his robot crew every 4-letter word he could think of, with all his built-up anger and depression. He yelled, "You sadistic moron, I'm not going to take any more of this crud, of your crud. I'm getting sick and tired of the way you've been treating us, and I wish Newtin would come back from the dead and torture you, like you have been doing to us. I think you're a mindless piece of crud that doesn't have a soul or a mind." The Black Mutant and all his 12 robots that were on board Mutania looked at Jack, and the Black Mutant said, "Compliments and flattery will get you nowhere. And since you spoke up without being told, I'm going to let my robots play with you." The Black Mutant snapped his fingers, and the robot started walking toward Jack. Jack got in a karate position to defend himself against the soulless machines. He started leaping here and there, kicking the robots here and there. "Let's help him," shouted Obakova, and he, Sonia, and Shirley started kung-fuing the Black Mutant's robots here and there. Sonia leaped up off the floor, spun around, and kicked one of the robots on the side of the head with her might, breaking its neck and bending its head to the side. But it still was all right and undamaged. Shirley was judo flipping the things on the floor, trying to make the things blow a fuse. Obakova was boxing with the things, and so was Jack. Obakova flipped a robot on a control panel. The control panel exploded, and Mutania started rocking back and forth through its orbit. Now the robots and Newton's crew were falling up against the walls. The controls aboard Mutania were going haywire. The Black Mutant just sat in Newton's throne and watched the fight. The robots were starting to win now by punching and kicking the exhausted human and humanoids around. Suddenly the Black Mutant's statue himself snapped off Newton's throne, where Newton's bird used to be, and it crumbled down on him. After that, the Black Mutant stood up out of his throne and walked around the bridge of Mutania, knocking Newton's crew out. An hour later, when everything was fixed on board Mutania, The Black Mutant said to his prisoners, "You shouldn't have attacked my wonderful machines like that. They costed me a fortune, and since you did, I'm going to send you all to see Bruno, one at a time. Bruno has been quite lonely and hungry. Jack, you will be the first to entertain Bruno. Then Obacoba, then Sonia, and Shirley. I'm a bad guy because I won't let the ladies go first," laughed the Black Mutant. He grabbed Jack and took him to Bruno's cell. The Black Mutant threw Jack into Bruno's cage and slammed the door. Jack was surrounded by darkness. The floor he was laying on was sneaky and sticky. Jack quickly hid himself in the corner of Bruno's cell. Bruno leaped off of his mess heap and started slamming Jack around on the rubber walls. Jack slugged wildly into Bruno's face with terror, but it didn't even affect the big clod. Bruno stretched Jack out cold on the stinky floor with one punch. The Black Mutant opened the door to take the dead Jack out, but Jack wasn't dead. He quickly came to and ran out of the room. Jack slammed the door, locking the Black Mutant in the room with the powerful retard Bruno. "No!" screamed the mutant frighteningly. His artificial limbs needed a recharge, and they were very run down, so run down that he couldn't fight off Bruno. The Black Mutant flew to the door, but it was locked tight. Bruno grabbed the Black Mutant and started slamming him up against the walls and ceiling. The mutant tried to knock Bruno out, but he couldn't. He just dazed the muscle-bound idiot a little, and while Bruno was punching out the Black Mutant, Newton's crew were getting ready to escape. Jack was a great impersonator, and he could sound like the Black Mutant. So good, in fact, that he tricked the robots into getting Mutania to orbit the planet. When the ship was orbiting the planet, Jack, Sonia, Shirley, and Obacoba were running down the hall to the transporter room. Jack looked into Bruno's cell and saw Bruno smashing the Black Mutant's face up into the mess heap on the floor. The Black Mutant looked at Jack evilly and groaned, "Oh, how I'm going to kill you when I get out of here." Jack just laughed at the Black Mutant and made a face at him. Then Jack took off down the hallway to the transporter room. A minute later, Newton's crew beamed themselves down in the capital of the planet, which was now the Black Mutants. Obacoba said to Sonia and Jack, "Where's a good place to hide, in case the Black Mutant comes looking for us?" "I don't know, but we better hurry up and find a place to hide," Jack said frighteningly. The people in the streets noticed who they were and started throwing rocks at the landing party. But they told them why they told them why they came. And that slowed them down. They all then quit. Obacoba said, "Is there anything you have down here that you can use against the Black Mutant?" The people looked depressed and said, "Can an ant move a mountain?" "Well, that answers our question. Suddenly, out in the distance, in a desert, a huge flash of light and a cloud of debris rose up, followed by a terrible shockwave that shook the buildings in the city and shattered the windows. People went screaming and running here and there as the mushroom cloud rose up and melted away the mountains. The city's buildings were all cracked up, and the dome of the Capitol collapsed. The Black Mutant had fired a photon torpedo down on the planet. He called the planet up and said that if they didn't turn up Newton's crew within an hour, he would destroy the planet with one of